Nicosia to the southern city of Limassol, and the big resort city of Famagusta, taken yesterday by the Turks, is calm. Here are two reports by satellite.
This is the Turkish Army's front line position overlooking Nicosia, and for the third day it was a noisy and busy place as Turkish jets bombed and strafed Greek Cypriot positions on the edge of the city. The Turkish air attacks came sporadically but swiftly. The main targets were Greek Cypriot police and National Guard buildings, and above all the airport where there was some heavy fighting today. The bombing seemed aimed at demoralizing the Greek Cypriots even more, rather than preparing for a new attack. The men dug in here showed no sign of advancing any further. The Turks appear to be content with holding the northern part of Nicosia, where the Turkish population lives, willing to leave the rest of the capital to the Greek community. Across the island from here to the eastern coast, it was a similar scene. After 3 days of fighting this week, Turkish soldiers are preparing for a long stay. Finally, Famagusta, the old walled city, the main goal of the Turkish drive to the east. There has been heavy fighting for the beautiful port city. Turkish tanks advanced from outside the walls, while inside 12,000 Turkish Cypriots, their food running low, waited to be rescued. And last night, they were. Today, Turkish soldiers moved through the Greek part of the city, where a few snipers were putting up a last futile resistance. This is the second time Turkish forces have captured Famagusta. The first, in 1571, the Turkish army stayed here 307 years. The Turks aren't saying how long they plan to remain this time. After 3 days of an unstoppable offensive, the Turkish army seems to have grabbed just about all the land it wants on Cyprus, at least in the northern and northeastern parts of the island. But in the west, the Turkish offense isn't over yet. John Palmer reports.
Less than 3 hours before the latest ceasefire was scheduled to go into effect, the Turkish army opened up with tank and artillery fire on Greek Cypriot positions near the Nicosia airport. Smoke from the battle rose high over the capital city. The Greek Cypriots, sizably outnumbered by the Turks, were able to put up little resistance. To the west, Turkish jet fighter planes repeatedly bombed the outskirts of the town of Morphu on the coast. Most of the villagers had fled to the mountains only hours before the bombing began. Power lines were destroyed, and scores of homes and shops were reduced to rubble. Despite Turkish claims that Morphu had been captured by its forces at mid-morning Friday, no Turkish troops were to be seen in the town. Only 1 or 2 people hastily loading trucks and buses with all the belongings they could carry. The Greek Cypriots, civilians and soldiers alike, had left this town. There was no one here to resist when the Turks did arrive. Further up the road, inside the Turkish lines, the landscape was littered with burned-out Greek Cypriot tanks and trucks. Farm animals who had been deserted by their civilian owners just 3 weeks ago wandered aimlessly in search of food. When the radio here broadcast the news that Greece was not prepared to intervene militarily on the island of Cyprus, what was left of the Greek Cypriot resistance collapsed altogether. John Palmer, NBC News, Cyprus.